mentioned distance education. Tell us your vision for distance education in the community college system.
I basically believe that we cannot survive as a community college without distance education. And as I've learned, about a third of what you do is actually face-to-face, a third is hybrid, and a third is totally online. I think that there are so many advantages of being able to actually provide our students the options and the alternatives. Not all of our students are able to make it to us during regular class hours. They have lives, they have jobs, they have children. And so this is our way of accommodating those students. But I think that basically one of the things that we always have to keep in the back of our minds is that our distance education has to be engaging. It has to be a quality experience for our students. For those of you who teach in the distance education environment, you know that it's not as simple as taking the class notes that you have from your classroom face-to-face lectures and just transposing them onto a learning management system. That you have to figure out new ways that you can engage students and you can get them involved, and so they're actively engaged in the learning, whether that's virtual learning communities or whether that's different exercises or different types of software that you use. And so I think that's very important with regards to our quality. At Vernon College, I was able to actually increase our enrollment in distance education by 11%. We used WebCT at Vernon College. At Guilford Tech, one of the reasons that Dr. Cameron, I think, was attracted to my resume was the fact that I'd had that experience with distance education during my program. We were able to specialize as we would like to, and distance learning was one of the things that I actually trended toward because I saw that as such a viable alternative for us. But when I came to Guilford Tech, we had one online degree program. And 3 years later, this fall, we will actually be offering 21. So we're still behind y'all. We were probably one of the last people to the table, but we've done some really interesting things. We have actually created, and you probably have the same mechanism yourself, but that's a certification for faculty, and they actually do the certification prior to getting into the Moodle classroom, so they're comfortable with the technology, because nothing frustrates a student faster than the faculty member who is not comfortable with the technology. On the flip side, nothing frustrates a faculty member more quickly than a student who doesn't know how to attach a file or doesn't not know how to use email. But we were able to do that faculty certification program. The other thing that has really been exciting is the peer evaluation that we've put in place. And so you have faculty members from different disciplines actually taking a look at one another's courses with regards to best practices in the e-learning environment. I'm excited with what we're doing. We're going to be able to totally do away with makeup days, and so students actually will get their full spring break. Prior to this, if we missed any days because of snow, students had to come in and make up those days, but now we're going to be able to do that in an online environment, and our faculty have been able to develop modules that they can use in case of inclement weather. The other thing is that as we're tracking our student learning outcomes, we're actually using Moodle to do that, and so that's going to help us. We're doing that for all of our courses, whether they're face-to-face or hybrid or online, but that helps us cut down on the reams and reams of paperwork and allows us to actually put that information into a very usable report. And so I do see a lot of opportunity with regards to the learning management system that you use. One of the things that we talked about this morning is entrepreneurial types of activities, and that we're all going to be forced as a community college system to look for more of those opportunities. The grant, what comes in through the grants, through the foundation, but also through entrepreneurial activities that we pursue. And truthfully, that part of that learning management system, of course, it can't be necessarily the part that's state funded with those dollars, but if we can actually offer a learning management system for business and industry to conduct some of their training. They don't necessarily want to make that type of investment, so I see all kinds of opportunities. We use Ed2Go. I'd like for us not to use Ed2Go, to develop all of that and be able to actually keep that revenue in those dollars at home. So the sky's the limit.
piggyback on Heather's question, what do you see as the counselor's role in distance learning?
I believe that it's a very integral role because the counselors need to understand exactly what is involved in an e-learning class. They need to really sit down and have that open, honest, frank conversation with a student because not all students are necessarily prepared for an online environment. A lot of students believe that this is going to be really easy and this is going to be much easier than having to go and sit in a classroom, but they catch on very quickly that that's not the case because even with the engaging online courses that we are developing, they still have to do a lot of work. They're really having to become inquiry learners, and they're having to keep up with the readings, they're having to keep up with the assignments, and so I think just educating students on what the requirements are, some ways that they can improve their skills in order that they're comparable or compatible with that learning environment. And then I think offering some support, whether it's coaching or cheerleading along the way, to help students actually be successful in the online environment. Yes, sir.
Hi, I work at the Small Business Center. What are your thoughts about the Small Business Center, the network, and what we do, and things like that?
I believe that the Small Business Center is a critical piece of our mission because what we're doing with regards to the Small Business Center is we're helping to actually launch some of the smaller entities, entrepreneurial types of activities within our community. And those entities, the entrepreneurial types of entities, actually keep our community as strong as some of our industries do. But it's not intuitive always to know exactly what you're supposed to do as you're starting out in your business. You need some of that guidance, and then actually after you get up off the ground, you need to have some tips with regards to marketing, with regards to actually compiling a database, with regards to tax laws and how you keep yourself legal. And so I think it's very important with the things that we do because a lot of our students, think about our cosmetology students, our auto mechanic students, and in some instances our aircraft maintenance students, they're not going to necessarily go to work for somebody else. They're going to open up a business of their own. And so I see this as basically being a reciprocal part of the services that we do offer our students, and so they are able to explore some of those things. Do you actually have an incubator?
No, we've talked about that. We talked about an incubator. We'll also put together an entrepreneur online component for, the auto body, cosmetology type of students that could, key into that. So,
I think that's fantastic. I encourage you to keep down that pathway because I think it's so necessary.